Good now.
We're live.
Cool.
What's going on?
Uh, Stuff. So I started working on uh, gathering kind of my game dev stuff together. Um, I've had like this engine that I've been on and off building for a few years, and I'm getting that back in order. I've got this idea for a game that I'm going to try to tease out. Well, I've got an idea for a mechanic that I'd like to turn into a game. Have you ever seen the movie Ant-Man at all?
No, I've seen Avengers, but not Ant Man.
Yeah, so Avengers, like Ant-Man's one of the Avengers, I guess, and there's a scene in his movie where he shrinks and he jumps through a keyhole and then he grows on the other side, and he has to do it a bunch of different times. And I want to I'm trying basically I'm trying to play with a platformer uh, where there's a shrinking mechanic like that where you have to shrink down in order to do certain things and then regrow. Uh, Either it's a timed event where you can shrink for so long, and if you hold it for too long, you expand. If you expand in a tight place, you die or whatever, something like that. Anyways, something like that along those lines. So what I need to do is get the platformer base stuff in place where I can jump around between platformers with a player controller, and then um, implement this shrinking mechanic and see if I can make the environment uh, plus the platformer, physics or whatever, fun in some way where um, it's actually challenging and rewarding to play. So fun, just fun in general. Um, and if I can get that into a state where it's fun, then I can turn it into a full game. So it's currently the approach I'm on, at least for now. Still looking ahead at my summer and seeing like just all my time being eaten up as far as having to be places on the weekends and stuff. So, um, so I spent some time working on the engine of it. I did get some basic collision detection and jumping around and stuff working the other night. I'm also looking at building out a small tool, something I've been wanting to do for a while, just to improve my workflow around importing content into a specific this mono game. I'm sure you've used mono game, if I remember correctly. Have you? You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Have you used mono game
Uh,
or XNA or?
I the short answer is I did something very very small. I bought a couple mono books and I started a study group,
Mhm.
and I did something with a ball, but I didn't do anything like heavily involved. It's honestly it's too much math for me. I don't understand that stuff. All those different axes, setting the light, and then like it's just too much mathematics. So the short answer is I attempted to. I
Gotcha.
failed.
Yeah, yeah. It can be pretty rough to get something that works correctly with it, but Uh, anyways, there's this content importer or pipeline tool that comes with monogame out of the box, and um, it's an okay thing, but it's kind of cumbersome to create a bunch of content and then go in there and add it, especially on the fly when you're doing like a game jam type scenario. So I'm trying to put together a little tool that I could probably put out on itch or something or whatever as an app for to just it's basically just a file watcher plus that will automatically import the content that you put into a directory into this project file and build it. So it's more just like could probably do the same thing with a sophisticated setup with gulp or grunt or something like that. Um, but then I'm gonna probably add some UI elements to just make it easier to config and look through. So anyways, I'm building that out too. And like I said, some people might find that useful, so I could put it out as a tool on itch, and maybe somebody will throw me a bone for that, but you never know.
What's itch?
Itch.io is a online uh, game marketplace, I guess you could call it. Are you familiar with Steam at all?
I've
Or
heard of it, but I've never been on. I never visited those platforms.
yeah, so Steam is like the if you're playing games on PC anyways, Steam is pretty much the store marketplace where you've and download manager and a bunch of other stuff where you've purchased games for I think over a decade now. I think well over a decade, maybe a decade and a half, 15 or so years. Anyways, so Steam it's there, and then Itch started maybe 6 7 years, maybe 5 6 years ago. Um, and you could basically just create a page and put your game up, and they have a way where you can set up like pay what you want for a game, or you can put fixed prices and stuff like that, and you can choose how much of your contribution goes to itch and how much goes to the developer, and so bunch of tools like that. But they keep growing and adding new stuff, and it's a pretty awesome marketplace. But they do have a game tools section, and that's pretty cool. So if I do build out a tool, I could throw it up there, and if anybody's interested in it.
So, what do the top level games generate on that platform?
Uh, I don't know. The only reference point I have is this tool that I happened to see a glimpse of once, and that had been out for a little while, but it, I'm not sure. It's over 10 grand a game. I don't know. It could be any number. I'd have to look at what people share, but there's enough of a. If you look at their overall global stats for itch.io, there's enough of a presence of people to make it worthwhile to as an outlet for making money, or just another place to put a game. Just like if you had gone and been like, well, I'm going to build an app and I need to put it on both Android and iOS. When you're building a game, it's pretty much you definitely will hit itch because it's free to set up, and there's people there that would want it. You may hit Steam depending on if you believe you're going to make money on it. Steam, it's like $100 to put. I can't remember if it's a game or just to get the initial. I think it's $100 per game to put it onto their marketplace. And it used to be like you had to go through this whole process. And then there's been like a handful of other ones that have cropped up recently. There's this one called oh man, I don't even remember. There's like two or three others that are out there that you could jump on, but they haven't. I don't think they've hit the terminal velocity yet, or whatever you would call it.
Why can't you put it on Facebook or something?
I mean, I suppose you could. Facebook has got more like web casual games, um, which is not what this would be. This would be a download and run executable type thing. So
Oh, okay. Because I think I don't know what I'm talking about, but from what I've listened to, like that Blazor platform, or maybe it's not Blazor, but they was it WebAssemblies or whatever was primarily targeted for C, C++, and so I think there's been a couple of people that have leveraged WebAssemblies to build video games in a browser, and then maybe that would be the gateway onto platforms that have billions of teenage girls and boys playing Farmville or something. I don't know. It's just
yeah,
first thing that popped up in
they
my
have
head.
There is one guy who's taken monogame and done a WebAssembly proof of concept with it and has got it all working and whatever. I'm sure there's things that do not work in it, but there is a prototype out there. Long time ago, somebody actually built a an IL to JavaScript compiler um, that would or transpiler, I guess. I don't know what you'd call it, but where there had been some games that were in monogame that or an XNA that actually would run on this using this tool in the browser. So I think we're getting there, but the browser isn't well. It can be pretty fast, but it's I think it's still just slightly too early to get native type things on there like that. But yeah, I mean, if I could, thing is if it's a decent enough game, it won't matter. Steam and itch have enough people on them regularly that it wouldn't like if you're gonna make sales, there's enough sales there.
There's no Ant-Man video game.
Well, I'm sure there is. I'm not making an Ant-Man game. I'm focusing in on that particular mechanic, which is the idea that you're running towards something, you shrink, and then you have to regrow on the other side, or something like that, or shrinking as a mechanic. I don't know how it'll play out. I've got to actually experiment with it, and I think a lot of game dev is really coming up with ideas and experimenting, and then if it's not fun, just throwing it out and trying something new.
There's an Ant-Man video game that came out in 2015. Uh, the the reason why I ask is like, look, I don't really play video games all that much. I used to, as of like 8 months ago, until my headset stopped working, so I just stopped playing. But the reason why I asked all this is like, is the focus on primarily on making money, or just doing something that you love?
Both.
I knew you
I
were
mean,
going to say that.
yeah, it's both. Yeah. I mean, and I don't know. Something I enjoy for sure is this, but I don't know. There's something too that I've been kind of around this game dev space for a while now, and I haven't actually made well, I've made one game, but that was I don't really I don't know. I don't count it as much, but it would be it's more maybe that I want to do something creative and actually have something to point at and say, yeah, I've got something released on this. In lieu of being able to spend a lot of time on this other box thing. So
How long do you think the project's going to take? 12 months, 16 months?
I don't know, as long as it takes.
Okay.
Well, I mean, the I should be able to get up a prototype and test and play around with some stuff to see if there's any like fun way that I can utilize that mechanic. And sometimes that, you know, it's just like anything. If you do anything, you open yourselves up for serendipity. You know, you can come across something new that you didn't expect, and that might be what you end up building on. So prototyping is a pretty important part of game dev overall.
Is this first person, third person?
It's third person. It'd be like a platformer, like Mario or games
Okay.
like that. So
Cool.
so for next week, anyways, I have to have some sort of demoable prototype of platformer physics. So basically, just platforms with the ability to jump around on them, and that's what I'll have. So
Cool. No one got back with you regarding your past idea of the packaging?
No, I'm still waiting to see if I never followed up with this. I don't really like nagging people, but the guy that I emailed back with the templates and stuff, I haven't heard anything from. So I,
Okay.
if that were to crop up suddenly and I get, people reaching out with interest, I might pivot back. But um, yeah, just again looking at my summer and thinking, what if I actually did have to do this? I'd be swamped and like I'm not going to be able to provide the service that I want. So, but maybe as a if I get a game out and can release it on a physical copy to people, um, and people then ask me where I did it, I could then open that up that way. So there's some dual use of building a game, but yeah. Anyways, how about you?
Chugging along. I uh, I didn't I didn't get the the account thing um, completed at all. I've been spending my time trying to. You see my screen?
Mhm.
I've been spending my time trying to make UI updates. I think I'm gonna have to actually buy icons instead of stealing them from the internet and attempting to Photoshop it myself. And this stuff is like blurry. This hamburger menu and this home right here. This and this are fine. I would probably stretch everything out up here. But anyway, I think I'm gonna have to buy some icons.
Are those just SVG files or?
No, those are literally I typed in like on Google search whatever icon
Wow.
and then did a print screen and then cropped it and then attempted to resize it. And that's my attempt to create icons.
Yeah, you should look up either Font Awesome, which has a bunch of free ones with it, um, and you can get those in SVG format. And once you get that, you can pretty much go to anything. They have a free version which is open, and then they have a licensed version if you want to buy like their full set of icons.
How do you
Um,
spell awesome?
that's right, Font Awesome. Yeah.
Okay.
Or the other one to look at is just material icons. And I don't know if it's a fontawesome.com, just Google Font Awesome. And then material icons are another one that I've seen used in a lot of places. So, um, again, free ones. You can get, I believe, you get SVG files. And then if you, I don't know if you're using PNGs or if SVGs are supported there. I haven't used images in XAML much, but
Yeah, I've been using PNGs because they're just straightforward to me. I thought FGGs required a little bit more ceremony.
yeah, well, if you did need to like convert them to PNGs, um, you can just there's a tool called Inkscape, which is a vector editor. It's pretty fairly easy to use, but you can open SVGs in Inkscape and then just export them. I don't know if the Font Awesome license allows you to do that, um, but Font Awesome also comes in a font, actually, come to think of it. So, I mean, it's literally a font. So you could just import it as a font and then just use scaling and stuff like that in your app that way. So again, assuming the license permits it. Actually, Material Icons is a font too, I think. So you could probably just import those as fonts and forego the images
Okay.
altogether.
So all right, so like in
You keep going in and out.
regards to the app, I've been just working a lot on UI formatting or layout formatting. If I select I don't know which parts of this you've seen already, but I'll go to the shakes. Uh, this card updates with whatever number. I think you saw that. I added this button right here
Hmm.
called review. Also, if I add a snack or Tostitos, I can review everything on here. Now, right now, there is a bug right now where sometimes if I decide to cast away an item in my cart, it works fine. Other times it breaks. I hope to have that resolved by the end of this morning. But if I just wanted to check out the items that I've selected, hit checkout, and then this is the Google Map thing that I wired up, and pay with MasterCard, order, and then finding courier, cancels down here. It found John Roach, arrives in 3 minutes, call or message. I need to wire up um, vibration and sounds so that when there's a status update, when awaiting an order, it vibrates and makes some type of chirp sound to get the customer's attention while they're lounging on the beach. Then your order has been delivered. I still got to fix this to represent the actual dollar amount.
Hmm.
So those are the UI updates that I've made. It's slowly getting better.
Yeah,
Um,
looks solid. Looks pretty good.
yeah, I I determined that my launch date is going to be uh, September for both this app and the Courier app. So I want to be able to launch it September 1st. I have a feeling I'll probably be working full time. I don't even know if I'll even be in Miami for my next job or not because I need to start working again. But that's is there anything else on here? I'll stop sharing my screen. The I still gotta figure out if I'm going to use Xamarin Form Shell, which is in the latest version of Xamarin Forms Framework 4.0, which they just released like within the past week, or if I'm just going to continue customizing everything. Um, I don't know. I'm kind of exhausted from writing code. I just want to ship, but I just feel like there's so much work in order for people to take the app seriously and enter their bank card information that I feel like I have to refine the app with my non UX design skills so that it doesn't look amateur and that it looks like a commercial grade application. And that's the part that I'm just struggling with. I mean, I'm going to keep iterating, but it's just consuming all my time.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. It's looking pretty good. I mean, getting credit cards and stuff hooked up, that's another ball game altogether. Um, but have you defined what your minimum like viable set of features is?
Uh, yeah, it's whatever features that I need to get in, whatever colors that I need to display, whatever user experience that people will observe so that they can trust the application when they put in their money. That's to me, I feel like it has to look professional. It can't look amateur. And as kind of like an enterprise developer building internal applications, I don't really have that. that requirement to make things look very glossy or professional. I just bang things out, and I have a spec or a UX designer that tells me via mock-ups how it's supposed to look, and I just match the colors, match the margins, and just push it out. But for me to be like playing the UX designer role, it's great that I'm learning stuff. I've put this in the hands of maybe 3 people so far, and that's why the UI looks the way it looks. And there's still a lot more I have to do, like add a back button to it, because people are trying to navigate back to like the restaurants or beverages or whatever. But to make a long story short, to answer your MVP or minimal viable product, it's when people are able to trust the app to put in to provide their financial information.
So how do you test that though? I I mean, looking at it, it seems legit enough to me as far as uh, an app goes. I I don't know if the look of it necessarily, as long as it's not totally clunky or ugly, or you've got stuff that's just way broken. Um, if assuming that you don't have any of that, it looks pretty good to me. So,
Oh,
I mean, you could
short,
probably.
short answer is I don't know. I'm just gonna every 3 days I see something that could be done better. But the challenge is because I've been writing it, it looks so normal to me, but it's awkward to other people. And so every like 3 days I have a revelation about, this will probably be more ideal if for the items that they selected for their cart, that it doesn't share the same white background as the items that they haven't selected. So I'll have like revelations occasionally, but to answer your question, I don't know what the MVP looks like. I would say it has to be perfect to me, which is probably a 6.5 out of 10 to someone else. I don't
I
know.
don't know. Yeah, I think you're not giving yourself enough credit. I think if I was sitting at a if I was just a guy like asking you to make this app on the front end or just in general, and I'm just like, go with it. And I got a demo like what you have there. I'd be asking, okay, why aren't we shipping? Like, let's get the back end and a courier app going now.
It's
Um,
because your money is on the table and you're not making money with the money that you're paying me. But
exactly. Yeah. Well, think about it from the step out of your shoes once. That's exactly what you're doing, right? You're not making money on the money you're paying yourself for this, which is basically forgoing other jobs and just letting it kind of eat out and your time, right? Put
yeah,
your CEO hat on for a second. Just imagine that you're a worker that you're spinning this work off to.
there's some things that I learned when I was binge watching Amazon FBA
Hmm.
videos on YouTube. And what I've learned is that you don't just launch a product or introduce a offering and all of a sudden you have 10 sales a day. It's no one even knows you exist, right? Kind of
Yep.
like I'm sure you thought about the video game that you're building. Like no one even knows that your video game is going to exist, right? And so like there's 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 a lot of, from what I've learned from the FBA and research and product analysis stuff, like they give stuff away just so that they can get reviews and inch their way onto the front page of the search results. I say all this because I have the feeling that I'm going to be doing something very similar in tactics or strategy, where I'll probably get some people to promote the app maybe like at the beach they make some, either they make flyers if that's what they do professionally, or I make the flyers with the promo codes. And honestly, I'm strongly considering, like, for the first probably month, they get the commission fee instead of me, right? And to incentivize people actually putting in, customers actually putting in the promo codes, I feel like I have to incentivize knocking a couple dollars off of their price if they have a promo code. So the customer gets a dollar or two off depending on the total cost, and the promoter gets, I don't know, $2 or $3, and that's not even including the person that's doing the actual delivery, the courier. So like, there's so much money that potentially is going to be expended just to get downloads and just to get some type of visibility that I honestly don't plan on the house, right? I honestly don't plan for the house to actually make money probably for like a couple months, just because I'm trying to get visibility and I'm trying to get people to download the app. I mean, I'm a techie. I'm not a marketer. I'm not a business person. But you can let me know if I'm off. But
Yeah, I
there,
mean, yeah, I wouldn't expect to make money for a while because you're going to have ongoing server costs and update costs, and the credit cards take a chunk of your sale transaction as well. So I mean, it's
yeah.
yeah, it's a lot of stuff,
And
and yeah, you have to hit a terminal. Like you have to hit a pretty wide margin of people to get because you're not going to make a whole lot on a transaction, right? Because yeah, you do have to pay the courier, or they're not going to do it. Um, and so if you're doing, let's say, I don't know, $5 for delivery, and they're making, I don't know how much they'd have to make it worth it. I don't know what Uber drivers or Uber Eats people make, but I mean, depends
yeah,
on how much time they're going to be using, whether it's worth their while, I suppose. Um,
yeah, I mean, I guess I'll figure all that stuff out. But I was thinking about buying a whole bunch of small bottled waters and swap the packaging or the wrapper on the bottles with the app branding, and so even when they litter, people still see the app, and
yeah,
so I have people at the entrance of the various beach gateways, with a huge cooler of ice with these bottled waters with the branding on it. I was thinking about doing that.
what do you think? What do you think? So people on the beach, do you think that they need water a lot?
Yeah,
Just curious. I mean, like, I'm just wondering, like, if you could even go minimal and say, what if you just delivered bottled water as the first thing on your app? Like, hey, need water? You know what I mean? I'm just wondering if there's ways you could tone this down so you don't have to bite off such a
I mean,
big thing.
it's getting done. Period. Like,
Yeah,
it's getting done. The If there's a question about, is there a market, I think the answer is yes. The question is, people. It's not even a question. People have to know it exists. They have to know that the app is there, um, and so that's going to require the lifeguards telling them that, yeah, there's an app for that, if because they go to lifeguards asking for restaurants, and then they walk to the restaurants. I already had this conversation with the lifeguards, and then also them seeing refreshments or meals actually being delivered kind of in a professional manner, where they'll see like an electric beach bike with a trailer attached to it that has the branding on it, and they see that someone just had their stuff. Some beachgoers see another beachgoer 20 feet away from them seeing food delivered, and they see on the trailer that's attached to the electric beach bike, the branding or the app, it's just visibility. I tried to buy an electric bike last Friday and off of eBay, and for whatever reason, I don't know if he's a con artist or if he just wanted to rob me, but he decided that he wanted to go outside eBay's platform and he wanted cash only. Of course, he did this over the phone because he didn't want that to be recorded on the messaging platform of eBay. But I was almost shelled out like $4,000 for an electric bike, um, just to keep making decisions to progress. But he wanted cash only, and I don't trust him. I don't want to bring $4,000 to some area in Miami just to get robbed or to have issues with the bike, and it's that money's not held in escrow. So
Yeah.
it's a different subject, but it's keep making decisions to keep forwarding, right? So that's it.
Yeah. Well, cool. I mean, like I said, I think the app front of it, like you're well over 80% there. Like, I mean, getting started on the back and the courier side of it, because you might find stuff when you get into the courier side too, where the interactions with the app don't make sense because of the relationship of timing between you hit something here, this has to ping server, it's got to find someone. These, what happens if no one's available, things like that. You're gonna need pages or ways to describe that to the user. Maybe even you start to just when they launch the app and make sure someone in the area has this turned on. That there's couriers available.
Yeah,
So
well, that's where I was going to get. That's where I was going to integrate with Twilio and send a text message for them to, hey, order has. There's a couple things. Oh God, there's there's a minimal distance or a minimal commission fee that potential couriers want to be notified of via text message. So I just don't want to blast out text messages, right?
mhm.
They need to specify when they're willing to deliver based on the money or the proximity to the customer. So I plan on building that in. And then, yeah, to your point, they usually have to have the app on in order to receive a notification, right? I mean, your Uber and your Lyfts, those apps are on in order for them to receive instant notifications. Else, I don't think you can get instant notifications if your app is off. I think there's just different strategies like periodic or certain events that transpire. So, in order for them to turn on their courier app, I got to send them a text message, more than likely saying, so and so has placed an order. Uh, According to your notification preferences for deliveries, we've notified you because their order exceeds this commission amount and is within this distance of you, and then they could decide if they want to turn on their app and accept it. That's the thought
Sure.
process. I'm probably like 3 months away from building that, maybe 2 months. So that's the courier app. I haven't even started on that yet.
Yeah.
So it's a journey. If anything, all this is going on my portfolio. I need to start working again. The stock market has tanked. I probably lost about $15,000. So I need to start working, man. I'll still dedicate like an hour in the morning and an hour in the evening, but I need to start working again. So that's a side
Sure.
thought. Next week, I'll try to get this account thing wired up. In order to have that wired up, I believe I have to have a menu or a hamburger menu operational. So I'll try to do that next week, like I said last week.
Okay.
What about you?
Yeah, like I said, I'm gonna get the basic platformer physics and stuff all put together in a demoable thing. So basically a sprite jumping around between platforms and jumping to and from and falling off the edge and resetting and stuff like that. So your basic stuff. I basically I need to build a sandbox where I can actually play with the mechanic I'm trying out. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Good stuff. Happy Friday. Enjoy your weekend.
Yep, you too.
Yeah, I think we're both tired. All right.
I've been feeling pretty good lately. It's been, I don't know. It's been having a good couple weeks. So
That's cool. That's
yeah,
cool.
maybe it's just summer coming around. Finally, the sun's out in Minnesota again. So, although today it's not, it's been rainy for the last few days. So
Did they not have NDC last week in Minnesota?
yeah, I think they did down in the cities, which is 2 or 3 hours from here. But
Oh, okay. That's far. All right.
yeah, and they had some other like smaller conferences in the last couple of weeks too. But I don't really make it to too many because it's a lot of money to go to one of these things to hear the same people
Sell something.
talk about
Microservices.
yeah, basically there's like a few speakers who are really like in depth and give meaningful talks, and then there's a lot of ones that are just like, okay, I don't need to go to a talk on C#8 because I already know, like I can figure out everything from that in 10 minutes. But yeah, it's I don't know. If I'm not accepted into the conference to speak, I'm not going to spend the money to do it because, well, yeah, it's expensive. If I had a company to pay for it, that's a different story. But
Yeah, I would probably go just to network and offer up my services for whoever's hiring.
yeah, that's been a big part, I think, because I talked with other people about what's the point of doing conference speaking, and most of it is for people that are consultants or contractors who are just trying to land gigs, right? So they'll speak at a bunch of stuff, hoping that they'll get leads from that.
Yeah, there's a guy that posted on Twitter saying, "Hey, looking for a F# developer for Quicken Loans," I think was the company. And I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" Right? And I think he was at NDC Minnesota conference, and he was like, "Oh, okay, well, I'll get back to you later." I assume he probably found some F# developers. Um, then he said he'll get back with me later, but that was like a week and a half ago, and I never heard from him again. So I don't know why I just said that. I guess I'm getting frustrated. It's not that many F# developers out there. So why aren't you contacting me after I just reached out to you?
You should have just finished Nikeza, and then they wouldn't. Right?
That yeah, Elm is cool, but the primary file main.elm, I don't know how to shrink it down, so it's probably not the best. It looks too confusing and intimidating for anybody to maintain it. I heard it's not the same thing with Elmish, but I'm going to let you go. All right, I'm strongly considering trying to carve out maybe half an hour a day to pick up Blazor. I've consistently looked for a way to do web development without interacting with JavaScript. My last attempt was Elm, but this Blazor seems pretty compelling. And Brian Hunter, whatever his name is, I guess he's like the program manager for .NET or ASP.NET. I think it's all of .NET. I mean, he said that Blazor is, in my words, the next generation of ASP.NET in regards to the roadmap. So from web forms to ASP.NET MVC to Blazor. And so I'm thinking about maybe this is an opportunity for me to get into web development and have more opportunities than just being a desktop or mobile developer. See.
Yeah, well, if that fails, you should check out TypeScript because pretty much solves most of the problems of JavaScript. So
Okay. All right, Sean, it's been real. Sorry for holding you up.
oh, no problem. I got my drop dead time is at 7:30 my time, so 8:30 there. So before then, I'm good to go. So
Make sure you get your dog's teeth cleaned. I took my dog to the vet to have her teeth cleaned, and I'm very upset now. So
yeah, I'm not. I don't know. My French bulldog's teeth are just these like little tiny nubs and stuff like that. I guess he's got some bigger ones in the back, but I don't know. I've never growing up. My parents never brushed their dog's teeth or anything like that. It's
did the dog lose her teeth because of
no,
poor poor maintenance?
no. That dog, my dog growing up, Tucker. He lived well beyond the years that he should have for a large dog, and he ate the. I mean, my parents didn't feed him like top of line food or anything. They just fed him like Walmart Old Roy stuff. They never did any sort of like brushing your teeth, or I don't even think they ever groomed him or anything like that. So um, he lived a long time and was pretty active up until the end. So
Yeah, my dog has dental issues, and they want to pull several teeth out of her. I feel like a failed. I won't even say owner. I feel like a failed father. Like I couldn't take care. I don't have any kids right now.
yeah,
I don't think so. And so like this dog was supposed to be practiced 5 years ago when I was planning to have children, and I just feel like a failure, man. I don't know. I'll
do
see a
you give him
therapist.
bones or like? Because the bones I do a lot for helping with teeth. I thought.
No, I think I'll buy a bone like once a year, and she usually devours it within like half an hour.
Yeah, bones are like those Nyla bones or whatever.
Hmm.
When they're chewing on those, I think that's supposed to be like that's part of their dental regiment is they keep their teeth, you know, I don't know, sharp on
How
those.
how often is that supposed to occur?
I don't know. My
Once a
dogs,
week, once a month?
they just like we have these bones sitting around and they'll pick them up and they'll chew on them just random. I don't know why they do it. They just do it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, if you get those little like plastic Nyla bones or whatever the heck it is or stuff like that, I've heard that kind of chewing is good for their teeth. So I don't know. I'm not a dental hygienist. So,
Yeah.
but like I said, never had a problem with it. So,
All right. All right, homie. We'll catch up.
yep.
So,
Talk to you next week. All right.
see ya. Bye.
Bye.
Stop.